Good morning, brothers, sisters, and siblings in the struggle. Welcome to another edition of the CWA Our Power Radio Show, where we lift up the leaders, the laborers, and the legends who have paved the way for justice on the job and dignity in our communities. Right here on KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're visiting the beautiful city of Houston, you can take us home with you on KYOKradio.org. You can listen to us live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on KYOKradio.org or the CWA Strong app or your favorite podcast player. Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Our Power on your favorite podcast player. Thank you for joining us this morning on the CWA Human Rights Our Power Radio Show. It's about us. That's right. It's about us. Working agreement, solidarity, living wages, worker power, and simply human rights. We have a phenomenal show lineup with Micaiah Jones, Sir Reginald Small, Timmia Wiley, and Tay Akins today. So don't you dare change that dial. May is a new awareness month, National Asthma and Allergy Month. We'll also be digging into solidarity voting is non-negotiable. Timmia Wiley will be bringing us the Union Buster of the week. And then we'll start talking about the Great Unraveling, why civil rights still matter. And don't you forget Tea with Tay, brewed in solidarity and at your wage. Then we'll also talk about constituency groups, the pulse, the power, and the people. Our union voices are ringing in every district from Alaska to Maine, Texas to Minnesota, Canada to Puerto Rico, because we don't play at CWA. Our brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 30 months, striking on the picket lines. Again, while they are striking, they're still churning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/PPG donate. I just heard someone shout, when we fight, we win. We shine a spotlight on a young woman this morning who turned pain into purpose, who transformed a letter into a movement. Has already done more to change the world than many do in a lifetime. I'm speaking of none other than Mari Copeny, known across the nation as Little Miss Flint, and increasingly as a future president in the making. Mari's journey began not in a political office, but in a city abandoned by the people meant to protect it. Faced with the devastating water crisis in Flint, Michigan, Mari did something few children or adults have the courage to do. She spoke truth to power. Her heartfelt letter to President Obama didn't just make headlines, it made history. That letter moved the president to visit Flint and help unlock $100 million in federal aid for a community that had been ignored for far too long. But Mari didn't stop there. She didn't wait for permission or recognition. She kept going. She kept fighting. She kept organizing, and she kept demanding change. She became a national youth ambassador for the Women's March on Washington and for the National Climate March. She took the stage at the March for Science. She stood up against bullying through her work with Trendsetters Productions. And she continues to serve as a member of the Flint Youth Justice League and the Kid Box Board of Directors. And as a part of 18 by 18, a civic engagement initiative started by her mentor, Yara Shahadi. Mari Copeny has raised more than $700,000 for Flint children, providing school supplies, holiday toys, and books by authors of color. She partnered with Hydroviv to move her community from bottled water to sustainable water filtration systems, because she's not just fighting a crisis, she's building solutions. She's been featured in Teen Vogue, Time, and The Guardian, and even had a little doll made in her likeness. not just to honor her, but to inspire other kids to believe in their own power. Let me pause right here and remind you, Mari is only 16 years old. She once said, kids can't vote, but we can still have a voice. And what a voice she's become for justice, for dignity, and for a future where no child ever has to suffer because of their zip code has been ignored. What's even more powerful about Mariah's story is that it lives at the intersection of so many struggles. Her advocacy is about clean water, but also about racial equity, educational opportunity, economic justice, and environmental racism. She reminds us that environmental justice is not just about protecting nature, it's about protecting communities, especially those that have been marginalized for generations. And Mari is not alone. She's part of a generation of fierce young leaders like Greta Thunberg, the Parkland students, the voices behind March for Our Lives, providing that youth are not waiting for the future. They are creating it right now. She has been recognized with national honors and awards, celebrated as a change maker and a trailblazer. Yet she remains grounded in her mission to serve people, to fight for her city, and to remind the world that young voices matter. And let me be clear, Mari has already declared her intention to run for the president in 2044. And based on everything we've seen from her so far, I think we can all agree she's not just ready for the future, she's helping to shape it. But Mariah's story is not just something to admire, it's something to act on. So, my dear listeners, I ask you, what letter will you write? What child in your community needs to be uplifted? What injustice have you seen, and how can you be the one to challenge it? Mari Copeny has shown us what's possible. She has shown us that leadership doesn't require a title, that change doesn't wait for adulthood, and that the voices of young people are not too small. They are exactly the right size to challenge injustice and call us all to action. So today we celebrate Mari Copeny, not just for what she's done, but for who she is. A symbol of change, a symbol of courage, a leader of conscience, and a reminder that the future is already here. And it's bold, it's brilliant. If Mari Copeny is our present, then the future looks fearless. Let us honor her by following her example and building a world worthy of her leadership. This has been CWA Our Power Human Rights Spotlight. Stay strong, stay union, stay human. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can carry us with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on KYOKradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your favorite podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next, we're going to be talking about National Asthma and Allergy Month, because May is that awareness month.
Good morning, everyone.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just jumping right out there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump on top of you. May is National Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. And that's something that my daughter and I are really affected by, especially being in North Carolina with all the pollen and the ragweed. But I want to thank everybody for gathering today as we do recognize National Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. This month serves as a powerful reminder that we may be invisible to some things, that life is life altering and sometimes life threatening for millions of others. The numbers speak loudly. Over 27 million people in the United States live with asthma, including more than 4.5 million children. About 1 in 5 Americans, that's over 65 million people who have allergies, whether it be seasonal, whether it be food related or environmental. Asthma accounts for nearly 1.8 million emergency room visits each year. Anaphylaxis, the severe allergic reaction that can be fatal within minutes, sends approximately 200,000 people to the ER annually. And these are just not statistics. They represent our family members, our friends, our coworkers, and community members. People must be vigilant every single day about what they breathe, eat, or touch. So here's some things to do and know so that you know what to do when you get in an emergency. If someone is having an asthma attack, here's what you need to do. First, please stay calm. Help the person sit upright. Do not let them lie down. Please assist them in using their rescue inhaler. Normally it's called albuterol. If their symptoms do not improve within 15 to 20 minutes or you see them start to worsen, call 911 immediately. So make sure you're taking a look at the time. If they're not starting to improve within 15 to 20 minutes, call 911. You want to watch for signs of distress like blue lips, rapid pulse, or confusion. These require emergency medical attention. For an allergic reaction or anaphylaxis, ask if the person has an EpiPen and help them use it if needed. Call 911 immediately, even if symptoms improve after the injection. Again, I'm going to say that. Please call 911 immediately and talk to the operator. Keep the person lying flat with their legs elevated unless they're having trouble breathing. Then let them sit up. Quick action saves lives. Knowing these steps can mean the difference between life and death. Now let's talk about something people overlook. Oral allergy syndrome, also known as pollen food allergy syndrome. OAS happens when your immune system confuses proteins in certain raw fruits and vegetables or nuts with pollen. If you have hay fever, especially allergies to birch, ragweed, or grass pollen, you may suddenly react to common foods. Some symptoms include an itchy throat, mouth or lips, swelling of the lips or tongue, scratchy sensation in your ears or throat. Common OAS triggers include apples, peaches, cherries, and pears, and that's because of the relation to birch pollen. And then there's melons, bananas, and zucchini, which is linked to ragweed, tomatoes and oranges, which is linked to grass pollen. But the good news, you can still have them if you're cooking them, you're peeling the food. That often breaks down the proteins that cause this reaction. But you should also consult an allergist because reactions can sometimes progress into something more severe. So this May, let's raise awareness and take action. Here's how you can help. You can get tested if you suspect allergies or asthma. Early diagnosis is critical. And just like with my daughter, just a little sidebar, she's 17. We just found out that she had asthma, and you're never too late to get tested for asthma. It may not show up in your latter years, but as you get older, it can show up later in your as you get older. You want to create an action plan, especially for kids in school care or daycare settings. You want to educate others. When you're around people, please let them know. Please let them know that you have an allergy. Let them know where your EpiPen is should something happen. If you have an EpiPen, what to do should something happen. You want to support clean air efforts. Environments triggers worsen asthma for vulnerable communities. Donate or volunteer with organizations like the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. And of course, as always, we always preach, advocate for allergy-safe food labeling, fragrance-free public spaces, and healthcare equity. So, in closing, as we mark this important month, let us remember that every breath matters. Whether it's a child struggling through pollen season, a worker managing chemical sensitivities, or a person or a parent navigating food allergies at every meal. These are real challenges, but with education, preparation, and compassion, we can build a safer, more inclusive world, one where everyone has the right to breathe freely and live fully. Back to you, Errol.
Thank you so much, Timmia. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Up next, we're going to be talking about solidarity voting is non-negotiable because civil rights protect us all, human rights include us all, and labor rights lift us all. So our topic today is simple but urgent. That's more than a message. It's a movement. Solidarity voting is non-negotiable because when we vote, we're not just choosing candidates, we're choosing the future of civil rights, human rights, and labor rights in this country. And all of those are under attack. And I know somebody's probably saying we're too early now to start talking about voting, but it's never too early to start talking about what we need to be talking about in that solidarity voting. And it's non-negotiable. Good morning,
And,
Reginald.
and, and Errol, we should never stop talking about voting. So that shouldn't be a stopping point and a starting point. It should be something that's ongoing. But it's a very important topic here. Civil rights are the foundation of any just society. They protect our right to vote, to organize, to speak, and to exist with dignity. I mean, and this is especially important. It's important for all people. I want to say that all people, but there's special impact held for Black and Brown folk, for immigrants, and for the LGBTQIA plus people. When we skip elections or let apathy take over, we allow those rights to erode, one voter suppression law at a time. So while we're not paying attention, or we're not voting, or we're not partaking because we're exhausted, someone else is on the go. They're staying at it, trying to remove our rights and try to make voting even more difficult for regular people.
You're right. Human rights are not extras. They are basics: food, shelter, healthcare, education, safety, freedom to love, and freedom to live. But let's be real. People's rights to simply exist are really being challenged now, whether it's anti-trans laws, book bans, reproductive rights. All of these things are being stripped away. And Reginald, it is all connected. And solidarity voting means showing up to say, you don't get to erase us. You don't get to divide us. Because when we vote together across race, gender, and identity, what we're saying is human rights include us all, and we're not backing down.
I totally agree with that, Errol. And you named a lot of very important topics. And if we're not careful, we can be distracted by the distractions.
That's right.
It's very important that we're not distracted. The one thing that we can stay the course on is voting and educating people on the importance of voting. I don't think that's anything that we'll ever be able to stop or get comfortable or lay back on. We must always put emphasis on the importance of voting. Even if the vote doesn't go your way, that's the democratic way. I mean, it won't always go the way that you want it as an individual, but you have to stay at it. And if you're behind an important cause, never give up on it. Just stay with it. But it's education on voting, understanding the process. I think it's more important now than ever, and we should never stop.
We should never stop. And I'm just going to jump in and sidebar real quick. This is why with this is why we train so hard at CWA, because we really want to open people's eyes and show them that we are the working class. It doesn't matter if you're gay or if you're Black or if you're white, or if you're straight. We are the working class and we have to stand together. We have to stand for something or we are going to fall as a working class.
Say it again.
We are the working class, and that means that we all have cars that need to be maintained. We have houses that need to maintain. We have children. We all want the same for our kids. We want to be able to live in a neighborhood where our kids can go to schools and get good educations.
Mm-hmm.
We're all fighting for the same things, and so we need to vote in solidarity instead of being divided and conquered. But I was Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And to pay attention to what's going on, and not one election is any more important than the other. Of course, these last few elections, everything has been about the presidential election. And I'm going to go off course just a little bit here, but it's not. Your state elections, your local elections carry so much weight and will most likely impact you more than the presidential election. I'm going to throw out here a did you know? And I didn't know, and I'm sitting right here in Texas. And just yesterday, I got stuck in some kind of internet browsing thing, and it came up upon a very important topic. And it says the Texas House on Sunday passed Senate Bill 10, a measure requiring the display of the Ten Commandments in every public school classroom in the state. The bill now returns to the Senate for concurrence following a last-minute perfecting amendment the Senate participated in writing. It would then advance to the desk of Governor Greg Abbott, who is expected to sign it into law. So I'm reading that to say that something as serious as the Ten Commandments being displayed in every public classroom in the state of Texas, the largest state in the union, that's a pretty big deal. And I believe the average person doesn't even know this has happened. Did you all know that?
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and of course, let me preface this with this. I'm a Baptist boy via the United Methodist. I have no issue with the Ten Commandments. If you're talking Ten Commandments, I have no problem with that. I mean, some of the values with that are basic fundamentals, but it's mixing some stuff up, church and state and freedom of religion, to put it in a school. So that's a whole nother conversation. But just the thought of this being passed, and the average person who is not paying attention, who is burnt out with politics, or who perhaps did not participate in the voting process. I mean, the people who are making this decision, these are the people that are representing us. Whether you took place with the voting or you did not, they're representing you in your local government, in your state government, and making pretty big decisions, it seems.
Absolutely. Huge decisions.
That is going to be a very, very, very hot topic. And as you already know, Alabama has done it as well. And so it's going to be
Oklahoma, I think maybe kicked the ball first. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we'll delve into it maybe next week and see what we can come up with and how we can frame this because that's a very interesting topic, and I'm sure eventually it's going to affect labor in some type of way.
I'm sure.
Yes. I think Timmia or it was Tay that was saying something. I apologize.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. I was just being an amen choir. That's all. I was agreeing with what Reginald was saying.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, so when we're talking about solidarity voting, I want to kind of go back to that so that we make it clear what that actually looks like. It means casting your vote not just for yourself, but for the whole. You're
There you
voting
go.
for your co-workers raising 3 kids on $15 an hour wages. You're voting for your neighbor who just lost Medicaid. You're voting for the young people whose voting rights are actually under attack right now. So you vote like we have to vote like our lives depend on it because it does, doesn't it?
Yes.
It does. It does. And this might be a stretch for some people to think about it, but the whole idea of having to get a real ID in North Carolina, you have to produce your birth certificate, what have you. Some people don't have the birth certificate. Some people were born at a time. Some people are old enough to be born at a time where they didn't have a birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't have the paperwork to or able to even afford, or it's such a hassle to be able to get these things to be considered an actual citizen of the state that they were born in. And they've been here and they've had a driver's license, they've had everything that they need all this time, but now all of a sudden they're not considered a citizen of the state that they've been paying taxes and that they've lived in, they grew up in, that they've been in their whole life.
And a few years ago, and I don't know about now, I would have to actually look at that, but a few years ago, certain states, you had to actually go to the state in order to get the birth certificate. Now, of course, with technology, I'm sure that's
You
changed.
still have to. You
still
do.
have to.
In North Carolina, you do. That's like
Ah.
I had an issue with my, because I'm in North Carolina and I'm born in Louisiana. It was tough for me.
Congratulations for being born in Louisiana. Me too.
Really.
Are y'all excluding me and Tay?
We
Yeah.
are. We are. This is a members only club.
But you guys are saying a lot, and just yesterday, one of my former coworkers um had to go get the real ID. And you know, they are talking about you bring your birth certificate, you can bring your divorce decree, you can bring your marriage license, and all of that will work. And I'm looking at her post that she made, and she's had an appointment at 12:45 p.m. yesterday. And she sat in that office until after 3 p.m., and all she could do was leave because they gave her the runaround with her driver's license, her birth certificate, as well as her divorce decree. So my question is, do we have people? Let me hush. Okay.
No, listen, I can't even get an appointment. I can't even in North Carolina. I can't, now that I've gotten my birth certificate, I've gotten everything that I need. I cannot even get an appointment on the books. It says, sorry, we have no appointments. I can't even go out to August, September, October to get an appointment. So they're saying just try to get there early. I get there early and I sit there, sat there, and they say, sorry, we can't help you today. Try again later.
And guess what? That's exactly what they wanted.
Yes.
Right, right.
So,
And
what is the workaround there? Of course, we're talking about voting. We're talking about the importance of voting. Yes, but what's the workaround? We can't give up. We still have to. Well, and most people probably wouldn't even know that. Timmia, they wouldn't even know that until they got started with the process. So we have to do a better job with educating and staying forthcoming with information. And then that brings me to another point. Where are we getting our information from? I mean, we're not. I mean. We're not gathering like we used to in common places.
We're not sharing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go for it.
No, we're not sharing information, but this goes back and going back to North Carolina, the DMV, we have the same amount of DMV workers that we had in the 80s, and North Carolina has grown by 30%. This is something that's is buried down in the bill somewhere, that we're not going to hire more people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to raise the pay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is like goes back to what you were saying, Reginald, about the knowledge. When you learn something new, we have to share, but the information is not being shared. We're not voting in our own interest because it came up on a bill to be able to vote to hire more workers. People they painted it as frivolous spending when it wasn't a frivolous spending bill. We actually needed to hire more workers. Now here we are. We are stuck with not being able to get new IDs, get real IDs, because we don't have the manpower at the DMV to be able to handle the influx of people in North Carolina.
And that's at the state level.
Right.
Now, can you imagine what's going on at the federal level? And then on top of that, they are quote unquote running efficiency treatments at the federal level and the state level, because some states now are trying to enact or form a Doge program in the states. This is going to be a bunch of,
It
chaos.
is. But I will say, ding dong, the witch is gone. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
So what
Yeah.
does the solidarity voting actually look like? I mean, how do you pull that together? Tay, I think was actually on point there with the solidarity voting, but some action items. How do we impact?
We carpool people to the polls. We help our co-worker get registered. Sometimes people don't know how to get registered online. We share real information, not misinformation, and we definitely correct misinformation when we see it happening. We vote early. We vote informed. And we vote united. That is what solidarity voting looks like.
Absolutely. And like you said, we vote informed. You join grassroots organizations, you join organizations that align with what you feel should be, and you vote and you listen to what they say. Because there are a lot of organizations that you may not know about in your area that have slates for you. They've taken all the guesswork out of it. They will educate you on who to vote for, how to vote, where your vote's going, what the bills are saying. They break all that stuff down for you. What's on the bill, what the bill actually means to you as a working class person. They take all the guesswork out of what you're doing. Look up your local AFL-CIO. Look up, they will, if you go to AFL-CIO, you can just Google it and it will tell you, it will give you your state AFL-CIO. You can break it down and that will break it down to your local CLC level, and that will show you like your county. It'll break it down to your county elections. They take the time out to show you who is for the working class person, who is for the 99%. They take the guesswork out of, because those bills are so complicated. I my head swims when I try to read the bills. They break them down, they put them in the layman's terms. They're nonpartisan. So it's not like you're gonna read it and they're trying to sway you. It's nonpartisan. So you can read the information for yourself and make your educated vote. But and they also host forums. They host forums where you can come in and actually hear from the candidates yourself. You can sit there, you can ask your own questions, you can gain your own clarity. They are a great resource. And I'm going to say it again, that's AFL, A as in Apple, F as in Frank, L like Larry, C as in Charlie, I Indigo, O Oscar, AFL-CIO. They are a great resource.
I'm not trying to be funny, but somebody has had their coffee this morning with a little
Second
boost
cup,
to it, didn't it?
second cup, obviously.
Something's going.
Little Folgers in my cup goes a long way, honey.
Hey Tay, will you do me a favor though? Let's back up just a little bit because we want to re-emphasize this, the definition of solidarity voting, and I think I got an example for.
So let's say you got good union health care, but there's a ballot initiative to expand Medicaid in your state. So solidarity voting says, I'm voting yes because someone else needs that care. That's how we fight back and together. It's not about a charity, it's about shared power. So that
Yeah,
example of what
good,
solidarity
good.
looks like.
And that's what we want to get out there, that it is about solidarity voting. Just because we have good health care does not mean everybody out in the communities have good health care, because there are people in marginalized communities all over that do not have health care, or they're on Medicaid, Medicare. And those individuals need Medicaid, Medicare, and eventually, when we get to that age, we're going to have Medicaid and Medicare as well.
Well, and little do we know, Errol, most people are not aware that in the Medicaid situation, a whole lot of working people end up in situations where they've had insurance or something catastrophic happens in their life. They end up in a nursing home after you have exhausted all of your assets. You've sold your house, you've written checks out of your 401k, and you're down to nothing. Guess what you go on in order to stay there to receive care with dignity? It's
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid is not something that you just it's just a handout. That's not the case. We never know when we're going to fall in the need of a Medicaid sponsored program.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
And the people that are voting against it, and the people that we entrust our votes to go into the Senate and the House, they have the best health care, and they are guaranteed that for the rest of their lives.
And a
There
good
has to be,
pension plan.
right. We have to keep them honest with our votes. The only way to keep them honest with our votes is to make sure that we are checking on them and checking up on them when they go to cast votes in our favor. And that goes back to voting in solidarity. That goes back to showing up when forums are hosted to ask them questions. And I don't know if you all know this, but you can make appointments with your congressman, your senator. You can go to their office and you can speak to them. They work for you. It's not the other way around. You can speak to them. You can have a conversation with them. You can email them. You can call them on the phone. You can leave them messages. That is your person. That is your representative. Don't be afraid of them. They put their pants on one leg and the other leg just like you do. We have to keep them accountable.
Right. So let me ask a question, and I'm going around to each of you, and you can just say what you guys want your answer. I should say. What does solidarity voting mean to you personally?
I vote like my ancestors are watching because I believe they are. I vote as if I'm hearing Fannie Lou Hamer tell her whole story of the importance of voting and what she went through for the right to vote. Nobody's going to have to beg me to vote.
Timmia?
Solidarity voting for me means a better life for my child. It means a better life for the community. It means a better life for the 99% as a whole. It means educated voters. It means a better way of life for many.
All right. Tay?
Solidarity voting for me means that even if the system's not perfect, and we know it's not, it means that we still have the power to vote together. So we need to weaponize it for justice. So solidarity voting means to me is power.
Wonderful. And before we go, I just want to remind you that solidarity voting is non-negotiable because civil rights protect us all, human rights include us all, and labor rights lift us all. Go ahead, Reginald, what you got?
This has been CWA, Our Power. Keep your heads up, keep your union strong, and your vote powerful. We'll see you at the polls together.
That is correct. And if you want to check your registration, you can go to nass.org/can I vote to check your registration status. Talk to your CWA local about political education committees and get involved. Use your union's voting guide and know your candidates before election day. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Up next, we're going to have our Union Buster of the Week with Timmia Wiley.
Good morning, Errol. Good morning, KYOK listeners. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Union Buster of the Week. And I am unprepared because that last segment was so on fire. I have lost my notes. Give me 1 second to catch up with you all.
I'll get another sip of that coffee that you on this morning.
That's what I
Oh
said.
my
She was hot
goodness.
on that topic right there. So
Listen, I was not y'all. Listen, I was over here sipping over here because I got an attitude. I'm sorry. I'm
Well,
just
we
speaking.
can
I know
tell
it's
you.
I know it's some hot topics out there, and we didn't talk, but I hope you're going to be talking about the canceling of the broadband for the rural and
Oh,
marginalized communities. I
oh,
hope that's
honey,
one of them.
I am.
But
I am.
if she doesn't talk about that, she can talk about eBay and what they've been up to lately.
No, eBay. I'm listen. They got me fired up too. But today we are going to talk about canceling broadband for rural, working, and marginalized communities. My heart. Then the new four-letter word is going to be equity. When the powerful start panicking over words like equity, it's never about the word itself. It's about the access, the opportunity, and power the word represents. And this week we saw exactly what that fear looks like in action. A 2.75 billion lifeline. The Digital Equity Act was unceremoniously, that's like 4 syllables, I think, cut off. Why? Because someone in a high office decided that equity is too offensive to be funded, not effective, not corrupt, just too equitable. Let's be clear here, y'all. This program was built to close the digital divide, connecting rural communities, veterans, older adults, people with disabilities, and under-resourced workers to the digital tools needed to survive and to thrive. Over 80% of Americans fall into the categories it served. And it wasn't about handouts. Y'all, it was not about handouts. It was about Wi-Fi at the library, digital safety classes, workforce training, and telehealth access. Amy Stone, director of Bridgeton Public Library in rural Maine, put it best. We are counting on this money for things like Wi-Fi hotspot rentals. The hotspots are checked out all the time. Now we have to reconfigure our budget just to keep people online. So why was it killed? Because of one word, equity, the new 4-letter word. The cancellation wasn't just an attack on a program. It was an attack on working people in every corner of the country, especially in places where internet is already scarce. It's not just libraries or nonprofits that suffer. Workers lose their jobs, training opportunities, healthcare connections, and even union resources. I'm going to take it a step further. How can people even apply for jobs, apply for resources? They can't if they don't have internet. This just isn't union busting. It's community busting, it's opportunity busting, and it's progress busting. No internet, again, it means no to job applications, no online training or certification, no telehealth for sick workers, no virtual union meetings or know your rights trainings, no communication in a digital world. When public programs are sabotaged for political optics, working people are the ones who pay the price, us, the 99%. So we'll take a breath. What can you do? You can speak out. Don't let equity become a scapegoat. Please stay informed, know what's being cut and who it hurts. You can get organized when resources are stripped. Unions rise. This is why unions matter. When the powerful turn off the lights and unplug the people, it's up to us. Us is we is us, workers, organizers, neighbors, to keep fighting for access, fairness, and opportunities for all. Because if we don't fight for each other, no one else will. And I'm going to tell you right now, this has been your Union Buster of the Week. Stay strong, stay vigilant, keep the light on. We'll be back next week with another Union Buster of the Week. Back to you, Errol.
All right. Thank you so much, Timmia. You're listening to KYK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you. by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning live, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. And I guess since we're still talking about solidarity and voting and everything, I think we need to go in and start talking about the greatest unraveling that we're seeing is why civil rights still matter. What happens when the laws that promise us progress start getting reversed? When rights that took generations to win, voting rights, civil rights, educational access, are now being stripped away in broad daylight. You're listening to the CWA Hour Power Radio Show, and today we are sounding the alarm because what has been fought for by everybody when it comes to human rights and civil rights is now being stripped away.
And it's really not just about race. I think that's a misunderstanding. This is not just about Black or brown folks. What we're witnessing right now is the most sweeping rollback of civil rights in America since Reconstruction. And it affects everybody who believes in equity. That's that bad word again, equity, democracy, and dignity. Everybody who believes in equity, democracy, and dignity. So
that's what's happening. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying here's what's happening, family. A core civil rights division, originally created to ensure all Americans have equal access to justice, is being repurposed, not to protect voters or to fight racial discrimination, but to attack diversity and root out so-called woke, quote unquote. Think about that. The mission has shifted from inclusion to exclusion.
The civil rights protections that help integrate schools, protect LGBTQIA plus workers, defend the rights of women, and support language access are under fire. Agencies are now threatening to withhold funding from schools, research institutions, and public services that uphold diversity, equity, and inclusion values.
And let's talk about this erasure. We're seeing the renaming of military bases back to Confederate names, the canceling of contracts aimed at building equity in agriculture and infrastructure, because we just talked about this on last week down in Lowndes County, where they're doing straight pipes into the backyard. We just talked about that. We talked about flushing away, and even attempts to stop universities, Harvard, from supporting underrepresented communities. And this is not just bureaucracy, it's cultural warfare. We've also got selective empathy going on. Refugees fleeing war and persecution, particularly those from non-European backgrounds, are being turned away, while others who claim, let me say that one more time, who claim, turn to your neighbor and say, who claim reverse racism, are fast-tracked for entry. It's a double standard that smacks of supremacy, not justice.
And Errol, policies that dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion, they gut access to healthcare like Medicaid, which we talked about just a little while ago. They threaten Pell Grants and strip protections from workers. It's not just about wokeness. They're about power and who has the power and preserving it for the few at the expenses of many. That's not democracy. It's a form of regression, and it's bold regression, and it's power. People, this whole thing is about the rollbacks. I'm repeating myself because it's so shocking to me, and yet it's so powerful. It's about power. It's not so much about race. It's about power, classism, the haves and the have-nots.
Correct.
There's also a push to blur the lines between church and state. A government task force has been launched to eradicate anti-Christian bias. Yet many mainstream Christian leaders say this isn't about religious freedom. It's about using religion as a political weapon. Faith is sacred, but it should never be forced.
And what happens when the Supreme Court start considering cases to let tax dollars fund religious schools, or when federal commissions are created to privilege one faith over others? We lose the balance and the promise of our country's founded on freedom of all religions none and none at all.
And really, when we start talking about this, uh, the rollback doesn't just affect a few communities. It affects the working poor, the disabled veterans, single parents, young people trying to go to college, religious minorities, and yes, workers fighting to unionize and be seen. And that's why I will continuously say that this is our fight. So what do? We stay informed. We organize. We call out injustice no matter where it shows up. We remember that our labor rights, our civil rights, our human rights are intertwined. You can't unravel one without pulling on the others, guys.
And then we don't need to wait until our rights are just a part of history lessons. Let's work to defend them now in our workplaces, our schools, our faith spaces, and at the ballot box. Let's do it now.
This rollback may feel like deja vu, but we've been there before. We've been here before, and every time we've risen, we've done it together.
Together we're stronger. Together we hold the line.
And together we say loud and clear, we are not going back. This is our power. This is your voice.
Stay
Stay
bold.
bold. Stay unified.
Stay tuned.
And stay tuned. That's right. We got to stay tuned. Up next, we have something brewing on the stove, guys. And we have tea with Tay this morning. Good morning, Tay. I know you're ready.
Good morning, KYLK listeners, and good morning to my union family. I know this tea is strong because I promise it's sun tea and has been outside since last week. So welcome back to another segment of Tea with Tay, where the kettle is hot and the tea is strong and working class never goes without a voice. So what I'm talking about today has been heavy on my spirit lately, and we've talked about it a lot here today. It's baffling to me how some folks, especially working class folks, start acting like they're better than the very communities they come from. Has anyone else ever noticed that? I know it's not just me. Like, how do you carry yourself with that much superiority when you're standing in the same grocery lines, dodging the same rising rent, and living the same paycheck to paycheck life as the rest of us? I get it. Sometimes it's a defense mechanism. Folks try to separate themselves from the struggle by pretending that they're not a part of it. But let me tell you, we all see the same overdraft fees. What did you say earlier, Timmia? Our busted cars, the same skip doctor visits. You're not fooling anyone. So let's spill some real tea here today. I find it wild, absolutely wild, how quickly people dismiss Social Security. They act like they'll never get old, like you'll never face illness, layoffs, or disability. Social Security isn't a charity, it's a lifeline, a system we all pay into and we deserve to benefit from it. I mean, how many of us have watched our parents or grandparents stretch a dollar till it tore? How many of us have rationed medication, worked weekends, missed birthdays and holidays for our children, ourselves, all just to survive? And here comes somebody talking about pull yourself up by the bootstraps. When we know darn God well, some of us can't even afford bootstraps. That mindset that hard work alone is all it takes, it's sold by the wealthy to keep us quiet. We've been working hard. Folks, we stay broke while million and billionaires get tax cuts and bailout. The system isn't broken. Y'all, it's working exactly how it was designed to work. And here's the part that makes my blood boil. It's mind blowing to see people support policies that hurt them. Folks voting for bills that strip away labor rights, healthcare, and public education, and then wonder why we, you, us, we can't catch a break. You ever heard someone defend the ultra rich like they're just one day away from being invited to brunch on a billionaire's yacht? Baby, I don't see the next Jeff Bezos in my workplace. We're all one rent hike away from moving in with our cousins, our parents, or whoever will take us in. Let's not pretend we're part of a country club when we can't even get paid time off from our companies. We have to stop confusing proximity to power with power itself. When you support politicians who demonize poor people, undocumented folks, LGBTQIA plus folks, or anyone marginalized, you're not just throwing them under a bus. You might as well get in the passenger seat and drive it yourself. We can't keep punching down when we should be linking arms and rising together. We're not each other's enemy. The enemy is poverty wages, union busting CEOs, racist policies, and greedy corporations that treat us like we're disposable. The enemy is the system that tries to convince us we'll trickle up while it robs us blind in real time. So let me leave you with this, and I want you to hold on to it and hold on tight. Act your wage. Quit pretending you're a billionaire apprentice when you're pulling 10-hour shifts with no benefits. Quit standing up for folks who wouldn't tip you right if you served them dinner. Act your wage. Stop acting in your own best interest. That's the real tea for today. That's what I have for us today. I'm Tay, and this has been Tea with Tay on Our Power radio show. Let me say it louder for the folks in the back. Act your wage. Claim your power. Fight for your class and stand up with your unions. Because if we don't stand together, we fall apart. One paycheck, one right, one voice at a time. Stay loud, stay proud, and all above, stay union strong. Back to you, Errol.
My. Act your wage. You listening to KYK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your favorite podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, or Pod Chaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. As we come down to the final minutes of the show, our union brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 30 months, 2 years on the picket lines. And yet while they're striking, they're still churning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's continue to show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/PPG-donate. I just heard someone shout, "We are one." That's right, we are one. May flowers are blooming. And awareness is also. May is National Asthma and Allergy Month, Stroke Awareness Month, and Mental Health Awareness Month. Also, we've been recognized as the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and People. Melanoma, Skin Cancer Detection and Prevention Month. Take action and learn more today. When you take time to learn about others around you, you're making the world a better place. Awareness campaigns serve as a powerful reminder that there are steps we all must take in looking out for loved ones, the people in our community, and those who have been impacted. It's time to take one big step together and make a change. An hour is not long enough to be with you, and a week is too long to be away from you. You have been tuned into the CWA Human Rights Justice Our Power broadcast. I hope something you heard today has inspired you to take action toward creating positive change in the world. Every person has the power to make a difference, no matter how small, and by working together, we can create a world where human rights are respected and valued. So I encourage each of you in the listening audience to reflect on your role in promoting human rights to effect change in your communities and beyond. Know that you are not alone in your quest for a more just and equitable world. When faced with injustice, it can be easy to lose hope and give up. But remember, justice may be slow, like the truth, but when it finally comes, it will stand. Until next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on KYOK 1140 a.m. and the all new 106.5 FM, KYOKradio.org. See you next week.